And Ms. Wade, I see that you are joining us. We are getting some either feedback from you.
I don't have anything on. You want me to put mute on?
Yes, ma'am.
Mark, are you there?
Yes, ma'am. Do you have any other? Do you have any other device on that is?
I'm going to unplug my phone, see if that helps. Only thing on is the laptop.
Yes, and we're no longer getting that feedback. Thank you, ma'am.
Must have been the phone was interfering. Thank you. Is it you, Mark?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. How are you doing?
Doing well. We are broadcasting to the public. Just so you're aware, we have 7 people in attendance so far.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I did miss some of you earlier. My name is Patrick Perez. I am from the city attorney's office. I'm filling in for Tom Trask today. So good to see everybody, and thank you for having me.
Hello, Patrick.
How do you know he lost?
Because usually it'll light up here.
Oh. That's good for the roll call. That way you know you didn't miss anybody. That's good.
Got about a minute to go.
I see Mr. Perfidio.
Kramer.
Aye.
Oh, there. It's just okay. I think everybody's here. I can always move the laptop so they can see. I'm gonna miss you.
Okay.
Just that.
Just look nervous once you're here. Now, you pushed the big one to go see everybody?
I'd like to call this meeting of the Virtual Code Board to order. It's June 11th, 2020, and it's 2 p.m. Bobby, if you'd call the roll, please.
Chair Wade.
I'm here.
Okay. Vice Chair Archer. Vice Chair Archer, you are here. Am I unmuted? No. Okay. Mr. Weeks.
Here.
Mr. Kramer.
Here.
Mr. Robinson.
Here.
Ms. Norfleet.
Here.
Ms. Tellier.
Here.
And Mr. Perfidio, alternate number 1.
Here.
And Ms. Vacacy is absent today.
Thank you. The next on the agenda is the pledge and the invocation by the attorney.
We're going to do that.
Thank you. Heavenly Father, please send down your blessings on this virtual meeting of the Tarpon Springs Code Enforcement Board. Give the board members a clear sense of duty and lead them to a faithful discharge of the same. Direct them in their deliberations at this meeting so that all things may be done for the welfare of the people of the city of Tarpon Springs. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
In the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. I'll explain the hearing procedures and we'll make whatever adaptations we need to do this virtually. It is the intention of this board to promote, protect, and improve the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Tarpon Springs by providing an equitable, effective, and inexpensive method of enforcing various codes within the city of Tarpon Springs. Any aggrieved party may appeal a final administrative order of this board to the circuit court. Such appeal shall be filed within 30 days of the execution of the order to be appealed. Florida Statute 286.0105 requires any party appealing a decision of this board to have a record of the proceedings to support such an appeal. The procedure of this board is as follows. First, the city presents its witnesses and exhibits, after which the alleged violator is able to ask the city witnesses any specific questions regarding their testimony. Second, the alleged violator is allowed to make a presentation and present his or her witnesses and exhibits. Then the city can question the alleged violator's witnesses. After both rounds of testimony, both on the part of the city and on the part of the alleged violator, each party is asked to give a closing argument, first by the city and then by the alleged violator. After those three steps are taken, the board will close the public hearing portion of the case to discuss it and take appropriate action. Before we begin the public hearings, we are supposed to have potential witnesses stand up and be sworn in by the secretary of the board. We'll probably do that with each item to
That's
ensure
correct.
that we, excuse me?
That was going to be my suggestion.
Yeah, before each person testifies, we'll
Correct.
swear them in, but we'll still try to keep our cell phones off so that we don't have any extra interruptions. I don't have a list of any agenda changes for today. Let me know if that's still
Actually,
true.
we have, Julie, we have one change. Item
you.
number 5 has been deferred.
Thank you.
The vacant lot on Maragos.
Yes, I see it. Thank you. Right. I think we're ready to start. Bear with us all, please. The first item is under new business. It's 20-8000005 233 Grand Boulevard. Is anyone here for that agenda item?
We do have one raised hand at this time.
Gotta get sworn in.
Thank you. Let's swear them in, please. And we'll swear in.
We have
Officer
brought them in,
Gadsden.
allowing them to talk.
Say that again, Mark.
We've brought them in, so they are allowed to talk now.
Okay. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Elena Harris.
And this is for item number 1, 233 Grand Boulevard?
Oh, no.
No, we're looking for the individual if there's a representative for item number 1, 233 Grand Land Trust or Trinity Management. Is there anyone here for that case?
I'm sure the attorney would be present.
If you are here for the case, if you would please raise your hand and we'll allow you in.
Mark, I can't hear him, but it's all mumbled.
We have no raised hands at this time.
Thank you, Mark.
Let's swear in Officer Gaston and
Officer
we'll
Gaston,
let that
do you swear
run
affirm
for
the
the whole meeting.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in these proceedings is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So for the record, I would like to state there's no representative present at this time.
Thank
Looks like
you.
all broken up.
That's what you had.
Officer, would you like to present your case, please?
Yes, thank you. This is, I'm Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. The case before the board is 20-800-00005. The property address is 233 Grand Boulevard. It's listed as owned by 233 Grand Land Trust or Trinity Management Corporation LLC, which is also a trust. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all of the photographs, and I also have them. If we need to, I can share the screen and you can see them if you don't have them. Exhibit number 2 are all of my notices to include the notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit number 3 are administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector records. And exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All of my photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what's being presented to the board. We thought they were going to be here, so we're kind of surprised they're not. All of our notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearings are sent, return receipt requested, as well as first-class mail. And Madam Chairman, please accept these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Yes, would you note that, please, Bobby? Could we see those on our screens?
Sure. Oh, I got it. Stand by.
Glasses. You can share a screen.
He shared it from his computer.
Yeah, it's something funky with the HDMI, so I have them up now. Hang on.
Thank you.
He's in the police department conference room. He's got a big TV. That's where he's working on.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't know if this will be necessary to state, but we're going to turn these into the clerk's office when we're done for the record.
Yes.
So this is 233 Grand Boulevard. Basically what you're seeing through this is a number of Airbnb listings for short-term rental. This case started on January 8th, 2020. It was reported to us and we found an Airbnb short-term rental advertisement, as you can see on the screen. On January 9th of this year, a notice of violation was mailed to them. We did get the green card return signed. On January 29th, I conducted a reinspection and we realized that the property was still being advertised. However, they made an incorrect reference about the number of days. So we've been going back and forth. What eventually happened is we referred these folks over to planning and zoning, and they went through unfortunately a failed effort to modify their use and become allowed to be a short-term rental. So the case was kind of put on hold. That's the reason why it's stemming from January and now we're in June. We've had multiple contacts with the property owner, primarily his attorney, working through this. And up until recently, there were still some advertisements out there regarding this case. They've assured us that they've taken down everything. There's one of them that they just unfortunately they don't control, but it doesn't allow to make any reservations or anything like that. So in the interest of just making sure that we don't have any future problems with this, that's why it's before the board. So they were trying to change it. It had a conditional use to a bed and breakfast, and that was denied by the Board of Commissioners on April 28th. And then, the case got brought back before Code Board. So if you want to see the rest of the pictures, basically they're advertisements from Airbnb and bookings.com, and then one they couldn't control. Sorry about the sideways. I can flip that real quick. So these were all these, and as I stated, they were advertising it initially for a period of time less than the 42 days or 6 weeks that the city requires. Otherwise, it's considered a short-term rental. So on May 28th, we conducted the reinspection, multiple emails back and forth to have all the ads removed. they stated they were. Then we found an additional one later on that same day. And we had personally talked to them and told them all the ads had to be taken down. And then we found the one on the 28th. At that point in time, we sent out the new virtual notice of hearing, was mailed out on May 28th. We got the green card back signed. Then on May 29th, I posted the property and the affidavit of posting was signed. And on June 10th, we conducted a final inspection, and we found no new listings. The only one that was out there was, I think it's the booking.com one, which you can't manipulate. You can't schedule anything. It's just out there. So basically before the board is just to establish them for a violation of it's the zoning 25.04, which is the residential mixed use district, which prevents them from doing short-term rentals. And since they were denied by the commission to change their conditional use to a bed and breakfast, we just want to prevent the possibility of any short-term rentals in the future. And that's all I have at this time.
Did anyone have questions for Officer Gasson? Let's reconfirm that the alleged violator is not there.
If there's someone here for this case, if you would please raise your hand.
Then we need to swear them in.
We have no raised hands at this time.
So Mark, is someone here or not here for this case?
We have no raised hands at this time.
Thank you.
Do any of the board members have a question? Otherwise, we'll need to make a motion. Do I have a board member who'd like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, Ms. Wade.
Thank you.
I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violation, section 25-.04 of the city code, residential mixed district of the code of ordinances of the city of Tarpon Springs was and were in full effect. At the time of the notice of violation, respondents were in violation of said code. However, they are now in compliance.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second,
Please say who that was.
Becky Archer.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Going to call for a roll call vote, please, Bobby.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
and Chair Wade.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next item, number 2, 134 Spring Boulevard. It's new business number 20-8000074. Do we have anyone here representing that property? Please raise your hand and he'll click you in.
We have one raised hand at this time. I'll bring them in.
And then we'll need to swear them in.
Thank you. This is agenda item number 2, Maria Mosley and Deborah Mosley. Can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, this is Deborah Mosley. I'm at 134 North Spring Boulevard.
Okay, Ms. Mosley, we will be doing this virtually. If you could please raise your right hand, I will swear you in. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give before these proceedings is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Is that a yes?
I did not hear the yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Feedback.
The city will present its evidence and case.
Sorry, Julie, we ready?
Yes, please present your case.
All right, case number 20-800000074. The property address is 134 North Spring Boulevard. Listed property owner is a Deborah A. Mosley. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all my photographs. Exhibit number 2, all notices to include the notice of violation, notice of hearing. Exhibit number 3, administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser and tax collector records. Affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign is exhibit number 4. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator are exact copies of what's being presented to the board. All of my notices were mailed to the property owner of record based on the determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent return receipt as well as first class mail. And please accept the exhibits into the record as evidence after this hearing.
Ivy, will you do that, please? And if you can let us see them, that would be helpful.
All right.
And Chair, let's just make sure that, that there's no objection to the exhibits from the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ms. Mosley, do you accept that these exhibits are being presented? You have received copies of those?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
So this case originally started on February 13th of this year. One of the other police officers advised me there was a vehicle on jack stands on the property, and the property appears to be overgrown. When I conducted my inspection, this is what I saw on that date. There was an SUV on jack stands with no wheels on it. And then also the silver vehicle right here had tags that were expired in December of 2017. On February 14th of this year, the notice of violation was mailed. It was returned unclaimed. On March 3rd, I conducted a reinspection. The vehicle that was on jack stands has since been moved. So I'll get past that. There's the tag. And that's all I really have as far as pictures go. That vehicle was moved on March 3rd. There was still some debris at the back of the house, which you can't see in this picture, but it's behind the vehicles. And it didn't appear that it was being maintained at that time. On March 3rd of this year, a notice of hearing was mailed and it was returned signed. And then due to our current pandemic, on March 24th, we sent a deferral notice and that was also returned signed. May 21st, I conducted a reinspection and saw that the silver Chevy is still there with the expired tags. There's still some trash and debris on the property. On May 21st, a virtual notice of hearing was mailed with a green card return signed. On May 29th, I posted the property and signed the affidavit. And then I conducted the final inspection yesterday and noted the only violation that is going to be before the board is for the expired tags on the Chevrolet. Now, we have had conversations with, I believe it's Miss Deborah Mosley. They were attempting to get the tags squared away. But I ran them again this morning and they were still showing expired. I believe she's probably going to have some additional information for that. But at this time, the only thing that's before the board is going to be the 40.00 for the inoperable vehicles, because 8-40 and 8-52 are in compliance at this point. So just 40.00 for the inoperable vehicle for the silver Chevy. And that's all the city has at this point.
Ms. Mosley, you have an opportunity to ask questions. At this point, it's just a question for the officer. And then after that, I guess I didn't let the board ask questions of the officer first, and then the owner can ask questions of the officer. Any board members have a question for him?
No, I don't.
All right.
Are you speaking to me? Yes.
Ms. Mosley, if you have any questions, just questions, because you'll get a chance to present your case. But at this point, do you have any questions for the officer?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Now you get to present your case, Ms. Mosley.
Unfortunately, I was in the hospital for many months. things did get lax a little bit, and things did fall behind. I've caught up with everything, I believe, except for the tags, which I'm working on. The car is insured, so tags are not going to be a problem. Could you please hold and let my daughter talk to you, because she can talk better than I can right now. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. My name's Heather Estazian. I'm Deborah Mosley's daughter.
Ma'am, hold on one second. We're gonna have to get you sworn in.
Okay, I'm sorry. She just has a
That's okay.
hard time because of her health.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Michelle, you're still muted.
Yes.
You swear from the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, I do.
Okay, and can you state your last name again for me?
It's Estazian, spelled E as in Edward, F as in Frank, S Sam, T Tom, A Adam, T Tom, H-I-O, N as in Nancy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to, what my mom covered, her health hasn't been well. Normally we take pride in our property and usually everything's taken care of, but when she was in the hospital in a coma for several months, things did get behind. Since she's been out, though, we have been working on the property. Like the officer said, we got everything in compliance. I was actually at DMV this morning after I insured the vehicles, trying to get tags. Our only income has been, we own stores at the Sponge Docks, and with the pandemic going on, our tenants haven't been paying us, and that's the only reason why we got the car insured, but that's the only reason why we didn't get the tag as of yet. So we're supposed to have a check from our tenant today, and I'm hoping to go, even if it's this afternoon, if not tomorrow morning, to get the tag, because we definitely want to be in compliance with everything. We've never had any issues like this or anything before, and we were working on it. We haven't received any income from our stores, so that's kind of put us a little behind on everything. Otherwise, we wanted everything to be taken care of prior to now. So I don't know if the board would extend her a couple days just for us to get a tag. We insured them as of both vehicles as of today. The SUV has been gone, but I don't know if they could grant her just a couple more days so I can get to DMV for her and pick up the tag.
Thank you. Do I understand correctly that the tag expired in 2017?
It does, and it's not currently being driven at all. My mom just has sentimental value because my grandmother bought it for her, and that's why it's still parked out there. But I got both of them insured for her today, and I tried to run to DMV this morning to see how much the tags were going to be and everything. And just financially, it's been a hardship for her because we haven't received any money from our tenants.
Other board members have a question of the owner? Officer Gasson, do you have a question for the owner?
No, I do not.
Would you like to summarize, please?
I think I covered it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to close the public portion. Would the board like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion. I
Thank
move based on the testimony and the evidence and the facts presented and the law that at the time of the alleged violation, section 40.00 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondent was in violation thereof.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Move second, then
Roll call, please.
So he's not in violation. Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
and Chair Wade.
Yes.
He did say in violation.
The violation has been established, and we need a second motion.
Yes, I make that motion. I move that the respondent shall have until June the 30th to bring the property into compliance with code section 40.00 or suffer a fine of $20 a day. For each day thereafter, the respondent remains in violation of said code.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade.
Yes. I need to divert 1 second. When on the first item, we did find it in violation, and I did not ask for a second motion because, as I understood, the property was in compliance. Did I make an error on that?
No, it was just being established.
Okay. All right, then we'll move to item number 3. 20-8.
Chair, would you like me to summarize?
If you like, yes.
Sure.
Thank you.
So, ma'am, the board has found the violation of section 40.00 was in effect, and you will have, the property will have until June 30th to correct that. Otherwise, there will be a $20 per day fine.
Okay, I'm hoping it'll be done this week, but thank you very much.
Okay. And if you have any further questions, you can direct them to the code enforcement officer. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Now I'll move on. I'll get there eventually. Number 3, 20-8000078, 612 South Gross Avenue, Melissa Anzalone and Daniel Abbott. Officer Gaston,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like to speak?
Are you,
Excuse me, Chair Wade,
Yes.
if I might, do we have anybody present for this case, Mark?
We're going to have to ask Officer Gaston to stop viewing so I can actually see the participants. Yes, we have one hand raised.
Can you bring them in?
Okay, so this is a question for the city attorney and Ms. Manousis. This member says that they are using an older version of Zoom and cannot be allowed to talk, but they can be promoted to panelist. Would you want them to be promoted to the panelist where they would be on video?
That's fine. It's actually more of a preference for the board to decide. Otherwise, they'll have to call in. So it's up to the board.
Let's let them do what works best for them.
Okay, I'll promote them to panelists at this time.
Melissa or Daniel, are you there? Melissa or Daniel, are you there?
Ms. Wade, I think Mark is going to set them up to bring them in. If we can give him a minute.
There we are.
Okay.
Is this Melissa or Daniel? Please give us your name and your address.
If you could unmute yourself, ma'am.
Ms. Anzalone, can you unmute? There you go.
There we go.
We're good.
Is that unmuted?
Yes.
And we need to swear you in.
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear
Okay.
me?
Yes. Can you raise your right hand so I can swear you in, please? Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And can you state your name and address for the record?
Melissa Anzalone, 612 South Gross Ave, Tarpon Springs, Florida, 34689.
Thank you so much. Chair.
Thank you. The officer will present his case and then you'll be able to get questions for him. Go ahead, Officer Gasson.
Thank you. Case before the board is case number 20-800000078. The property address is 612 South Gross Avenue, owned by Melissa Anzalone and Daniel Abbott. Exhibit number 1 going before the board are all the photographs. Exhibit number 2 are all of the notices, including notice of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit number 3 is going to be the administrative documents, case summary, property appraiser, and tax collector databases, records. Exhibit 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits that were given to the violator, exact copies of what's being presented to the board. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collectors Database. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent, return, receipt requested, and first-class mail. And Madam Chairman, please accept these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Melissa, do you have any objection to that?
No.
Bobby, will you accept those into the record, please? Go ahead, Officer Gasson.
We have had contact with the owner via phone calls and emails over time period. This case started back February 19th of 2020. There was a fence installed with over 6 feet. The front setback of the fence was installed without a permit. The finished side of the fence was facing the wrong direction, and there was a large accessory structure in the front yard, which is also a trailer. February 19th, a notice of violation was mailed. It was returned signed. Conducted a reinspection on March 18th of this year. The shed or the other structure is in fact a registered RV and is legally parked in a driveway. So that issue has kind of been taken care of as far as that city ordinance. The fence permit had not yet been obtained at that point. Moving forward into April 20th, I conducted a reinspection. I had received a call from one of our patrol sergeants who advised he was contacted by, I believe, Melissa, because the fence person she hired did not finish the work. Turns out he was an unlicensed contractor and the fence was being installed improperly. The other thing, it turned out that the RV, for lack of a better term, out in front, appeared to have work being done on it, like they were attempting to connect to the sewer. There was a trench dug in the general direction of where, then I'll show you one of the pictures of where the RV, if you will, was, and there was a trench being dug towards the house. And then the trailer in the building at that time had no tags on it. It was also on jack stands, and the fence was still had been installed backwards, as I'll show you in the photographs. On May 4th, the notice of hearing was mailed per the owner request. She requested to have a hearing before the board, and then that obviously was returned signed by her. May 14th, I conducted a reinspection. She did get a fence permit issued by the city, but the fence permit has not had its final inspection done. So it was still an open permit, and the fence had not been turned around. Now, because we pulled a new permit for the fence, there was an affected section towards the back that's also going to need to be corrected because they pulled a new building permit, realizing it's not necessarily her work that may have been done, and it was done in years past. Because of the case and the new violations being opened on the fence, that affected section becomes her responsibility to take care of and get turned around properly. On May 29th of this year, I posted the property and an affidavit of posting was signed, and I did conduct a final inspection yesterday. The fence was still backwards. It's still no final on any of the permits. The permit was issued on April 10th of this year. So what's before the board right now is a violation of City Ordinance 36.03. That requires that the fence, these are the stringers, and what some people kind of refer to as the ugly side. It's the unfinished side. Per our code, the unfinished side is required to be towards the owner or towards the property where the fence is being installed. And in this particular picture, you can see this is the newer appearing fence is the new fence that was being installed. Also, the 6-foot main post right here would not be above the level of the fence if it was installed properly. So that's still an issue. We're going to move past the structure because none of these codes are in play at this time because she took care of most of that. So let me get past these. And basically, There's another view of that fence. Going farther back in towards the backyard, this is the area I referred to as being existing fencing from prior to her purchasing the house. But because the building permit was pulled for this fencing back here has to be brought up to code. And so that's what's before the board right now is the violation of 36.03. And because the fence was installed technically without a permit, because the permit hasn't been finalized. 6-1 of the city code was used because I needed to adopt Florida building code. And the Florida building code that was used was 105.1, which requires building permits for this type of work. So 36.03, 6-1, and 105.1 are the violations before the board. And as of this time, they're still in non-compliance. And that's all I have at this point.
Does the board have any questions for Officer Gasson? Melissa, do you have any questions? You'll get a chance to present your case, but if you have a question for him at this time.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Then now you get to present your case.
So yeah, he's correct on that the fence was built some time ago, and I was just replacing a few panels. I didn't understand why I had to replace the whole thing and turn it around since it was built 21 years ago. But right at this moment, I have my uncle and family out there bringing the fence up to code. They're turning all the panels around. They're actually putting up new fence, the whole thing, but it'll be up to code. It should be completed by tomorrow. I filed a notice of commencement on Monday. So by this Monday, I should be able to ask the building department to come out and do their inspection. And it should be all complete and up to code by the end of tomorrow.
Does the board have any questions for her? I have one. The other structure, RV, whatever that is there an explanation for that, please?
That's just a mobile structure that I'm parking out there. And it's that I understand that that matter has all been closed.
Okay. Other board members, do you have a question for her? Officer Gasson, do you have any questions for her?
I do not.
Would you like to summarize?
I think I've covered it. Thank you.
And Melissa, do you have any other thing to summarize?
No, ma'am.
No. I'll close the public portion of the meeting, and if the board would like to make a motion.
I'll go ahead.
Establish it.
Yeah. I move based on the testimony, evidence, and facts presented in law at the time of the alleged violations, sections 6.1, 36.3, and 105.1 of the Code of Ordinance of the City of Tarpon Springs was in force and effect. The respondents were in violation thereof.
Let's correct that to 36.03. Thank you. Do I hear a second?
I second.
Thank you.
Miss Wade, Miss Wade, before I do a roll call, can I just ask for clarification? The last two motions have been in the past tense. So they either are in violation or they were in violation. I just want to make the record clear.
They are in violation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Ms.
Board
Tellier?
discussion?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Ms. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer?
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes.
Thank you.
Officer Gasson, before we do the second part, do you have any a recommendation for timing or fine on this?
Based on what she said, it sounds like she's going to have things. I would give her 2 weeks, and she has no prior violation, so $20 a day.
Okay. Would anybody like to make the second motion, please?
I'll make the second motion, Ms. Wade. I move that the respondent shall have until June 30th to bring the property into compliance with sections 6-1, 36-.03, and 105.1, or suffer a fine of $20 per day for each day thereafter the respondent remains in violation of said codes.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade.
Yes.
Thank you.
If we'll ask the attorney to summarize for us for the alleged violator, please.
Ma'am, the violation has been established. You have until June 30th to correct all of the violations. And if they're not corrected, then you'll be assessed a $20 per day fine. If you have any other questions, you can contact code enforcement. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming and explaining.
Thank you.
Item number 4, 20-800000176, address is 1589 Starlight Cove, Riverside Partners Limited.
We have one raised hand in attendance.
Let's get you sworn in, please, and identify yourself.
Sorry, say again?
Can you please state you are here for agenda item number 4, Riverside Partners Limited?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay, can you state your name and address for the record, please?
Yep, it's Jeremy Geller, and it's 150 East Palmetto Park Road, Suite 700, Boca Raton, Florida, 33432.
Okay. Mr. Geller, I'm going to ask you to raise your right hand so I can swear you in. The testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I'll ask the attorney, do we need to be sure that he has authorization to represent this property?
Yes, you can ask him if he's related to either the Riverside Partners LTD or the Alliance Tax Advisors. So that's a.
I'm sorry, I didn't get your name. Could we go back to the respondent, please, and explain how you're connected with the property and say your name one more time?
Jeremy Geller.
Okay.
And I'm Associate General Counsel for Waypoint Residential. We're the parent of the management company, Waypoint Management Services.
And you're authorized to speak on behalf of this group?
Yeah.
Thank you. Is that satisfactory, Mr. Attorney?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. City, would you like to present your evidence in case?
Thank you. Officer Steve Gaston, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. Case before the board is 20-800000176. Property address is 1589 Starlight Cove. It's better known as Riverside Apartments. This is just a address, I believe, for the office, but it's dealing with mainly the dumpsters, which are over on the west side of the property. It's owned by Riverside Partners Limited and care of Alliance Tax Advisors. Before the board is exhibit number 1, which is all of the photographs. Exhibit number 2 are all my notice of violation and notice of hearings. Exhibit number 3 is the administrative documents, including the case summary, property appraiser, tax collector records, and a letter from the property owner. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. All the photographs and exhibits were given to the violator are the exact copies of what's being presented to this board. All of our notices were mailed to the property owner of record based on the Pinellas County Property Appraiser and Tax Collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent, return receipt requested, as well as first-class mail. And Madam Chairman, please accept all these exhibits into the record as evidence. There are no objections.
Thank you. Let me ask the respondent, do you have any legal objection as to why the evidence should not be received by the city?
No objection.
Thank you. Bobby, you'll note that that has been accepted.
Yes.
Thank you. We have had contact with the owners or the owners' representatives via phone calls. I believe also some emails. This case started on May 4th of this year. I conducted my initial inspection, and I'll go ahead and share my screen and show you guys the initial pictures that I got at that time. So this is what I was presented with when we originally got the case on May 4th. I went back on May 11th and obtained these photographs of obviously the dumpster being overflowed. Now, normally Riverside Apartments has a compactor. Found out later that the compactor was broken, so they brought in a roll-off. Unfortunately, they were not able to keep up with the roll-off, and it ended up going into this state. And let me just set this up so we can keep going. So there was basically trash piled up all around, on top of, and in the general dumpster area. So at that point in time, the notice of violation was mailed. It was returned signed. I then conducted another inspection on May 15th. It appears the roll-off was gone. They were still having some problems, I believe, with the dumpster, or for whatever reason, there was trash outside the compactor area, which is what you're seeing in the photographs. At that point in time, a notice of hearing was mailed, and none was returned, but the property manager had emailed our office. On May 29th, I posted the property and signed the affidavit of posting. On June 5th, a letter was received from Riverside Apartments, which is also included in your packet, showing photographs of the condition of the property around the dumpster. I did conduct a final inspection yesterday and saw no violations. So at this point in time, there are no existing violations. They are in compliance, but the city is asking the board, because this is now, I believe, the third or fourth time this has occurred in the last couple of years, that this property be established, because they did end up having violations after the notice of violations time span had expired. So the city is asking for the property to be established under City Codes 8-22, which is the accumulation of trash. City Codes 840 and 852, which is the duty to maintain private property, and the nuisance prohibitions, which basically deals with debris and things like that. Because in like some of the pictures, there's furniture stacked outside, and this was even as late as May 29th. And at this point, that's all the city.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Officer Gasson? Mr. Geller, do you have any?
Sorry. I'd like. Yeah. So, Officer Gasson, how you doing? Jeremy Geller. Just wanted to ask, when you made the secondary inspections, do you recall what time that was?
Which date are you referring to, sir? The May 11th?
Yeah, after the initial one, because I know that, we got the complaint and we, promptly addressed it. And then obviously you made some subsequent inspections. So just the timing on all of those after the 11th, and then what was the other one, the 15th?
I don't, well, on May 11th, I know was in the morning, because I believe, I can go back to the picture and I will show you.
No, that's okay. Morning's fine.
Okay. Yeah, basically, one of the workers, there was actually a couple workers, you just couldn't see the other guy who was on the backside. As you can see in the photograph, this is one of the workers. I want to say it was probably about 8 o'clock-ish. Don't hold me to that, but it was in the morning. And they were out there starting to clean it up. Then on May 15th, this probably would have been in the morning as well, like before 9 o'clock in the morning. And then on the 29th, generally the same thing. Actually, the 29th, I think, was in the afternoon. I only work 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., so I'm pretty confident it wasn't after 3 p.m.
Fair enough. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Geller, you have the opportunity to present your case at this time.
Great, thank you. I'd like to thank the board and thank Officer Gasson. So I just want to kind of touch base and kind of talk about a little bit about the history. We took over management in late July, early August of 2018. And since then, I believe there's only been one trash complaint. There may have been prior to that, but we weren't on the property at that point. And then also additionally, I'd like to discuss, the steps we've taken to mitigate this issue moving forward. But before we do that, I would like to discuss our proven track record and willingness to work with the city. In less than 2 years since we took the property over, we've spent in excess of $230,000 in substantial life safety and capital improvements to the property, including numerous issues that had been not addressed by the previous company that was in there and whatnot. And we have definitely shown a willingness to work with the city. So since we got this violation, we'd actually had a management change in process, and our new property manager started on May 11th. So she wasn't actually even at the property when it happened, and she has a very good proven track record of dealing with operational matters such as this one and extensive experience locally in the area. Additionally, just this week, we hired an additional maintenance tech. So that will bring our maintenance staff from 3 to 4 people. And part of his scope of his employment will be dealing with monitoring the trash situation. We've also increased the trash monitoring. So the new manager has implemented a twice daily inspection and operation of the compactor, meaning a maintenance man will go out there, a maintenance person, will go out, check the compactor, run it, make sure there's room and whatnot. They're also logging when they go out there and taking pictures. Additionally, she's implemented that whenever the maintenance techs go out to make a call to, a maintenance call, they will drive by and check the compactor. Furthermore, we reached out to the vendor that we rent the compactor from, and we have the largest compactor available, a 34-yarder, and they recommend that that's good for a property that is sized up to 400 units. We are at 304 units. In addition to that, we've also brought in an open-top dumpster to help alleviate some of the backup, because what we found is that people will drive by and just throw trash, and if they don't, and then once one bag is there, people will think the compactor's full and just throw more trash on the ground, because you actually have to go up, open the door, and drop the trash in the compactor. So we're trying to alleviate that issue. And then furthermore, I know it was brought up that there was furniture left out at the end of the month. So at the end of the month is when we generally have a lot of our move outs. So our new property manager is in the process of securing another roll off that would be at the property, whether it be the 25th through the 5th or whatever, that will enable tenants that are moving out to put their large bulk items directly into a roll-off. It'll either have low sides or it'll have an open door to facilitate that, so that we won't have these kind of eyesores. Additionally, we've done the following site improvements since this happened. We've installed additional traffic signs. There is some concern that there's a possibility of non-residents dumping trash as well. So we've put up some signs to help with that, as well as we're in the process of having the rear gate fixed, which has been delayed due to COVID, as well as repairs to the security system so the cameras can monitor the area, and then we can issue or enforce the fines against the residents that are not complying, because obviously they're under their lease, they're supposed to be complying with putting the trash in the compactor. We also issued compliance notices to all the residents, reminding them of their responsibility to put the trash in the trash compactor and to not just throw trash. I think that's really all I have to say. I can conclude now, or I think I'm supposed to conclude after.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Geller? It does sound like you're taking proactive actions. We hope that's the case. We welcome managements that take care of the city. We appreciate that.
Yeah. Like I said, we've spent $200 and something thousand, or the owner has rather, but in improvements that have been either requested by the city, the fire department, the utility companies, and or just general maintenance. We've done, there's been erosion repairs, there's been retaining walls, we've done trip hazard and concrete repairs, This year we had a substantial, maintenance, landscape maintenance program out there in terms of lots of tree trimming. So we're very proactive and we take it very seriously.
As long as it's monitored, that seems to be the key. Thank you. Anybody else from the board?
You have a question.
Go ahead.
Is this in compliance now? Are we establishing it, or what are we doing?
It is in compliance now, and the city is asking for it to be established to prevent any further future violations.
Any other questions? I'll close public portion.
Hello? Breaking up.
I'd like.
Breaking up.
I'd like to hear a motion.
Oh, sorry. I guess there's one other thing I'd like to say. This is a difficult issue because it is not something that is, stationary. It is fluid. We could go by 1 minute, it's clean, somebody throws trash, and then, the inspector or officer shows up. But, we are doing as much as we can and within the budgets that we have to address this issue as timely as possible.
I'm sorry, the public portion has closed and we're waiting for a motion from the board.
I'll make the motion. I move based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented in the law that at the time of the alleged violation, sections 8-22, 8-40, and 8-52 of the Code of Ordinances, the City of Tarpon Springs were in full force and effect. At the time of the notice of violation, the respondents were in violation of said code. However, they are now in compliance.
I'll second that. I'll second it. It's Sunny.
Thank you. Bobby, roll call, please.
You're
Michelle,
on
you're on
mute.
mute.
Sorry about that. Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade.
Yes. I'm unclear, since they are in compliance, do we need motion number 2?
No.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks, Mr. Geller. Keep an eye on it. Item number 5.
Thank you. Will do.
Item number 5 has been deferred. We're on to item number 6, which is a repeat violator, 20-80000-231 466 East Orange Street, the Nexi Group. Is there anyone here for that case?
If anyone is here for this case, if you would please raise your hand. We have raised hands at this time.
Did you say no raised hands at this time?
Correct, ma'am. No raised hands.
Thank you. Officer Gaston, would you like to present the case, please?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Officer Steve Gasson, City of Tarpon Springs Police Department Code Enforcement. The case before the board is 20-800000231. The property address is 466 East Orange Street, and it's owned by the Nexi Group LLC. This is a repeat violator case. I'm going to cite the prior case numbers for the record. City Code 8-40 was established under case number 17-800000481. Also in 2017 under case number 17-8 0000618. Violations of City Code 8-40 and 852 were established. For the new violation, there were fines levied at $25 per day, and the repeat violator in that case was $50 per day. Those fines have been paid. Moving forward, another repeat violator case in 2017, -800000772. Those again were violations of City Code 8-40 and 8-52. Fines of $100 per day were levied, and those fines were also paid. In 2018, there was another repeat violator case under case 18-800000032, which was for 8-52. That was also $100 per day, and those fines have been paid. Moving forward, exhibit number 1 going before the board are all the photographs. Exhibit number 2 are all notices of violation and notice of hearing. Exhibit 3 is administrative documents, case summary, previous board orders, and the property appraiser and tax collector records. Exhibit number 4 is the affidavit of posting and a copy of the sign. And exhibit number 5 is the affidavit of prosecution costs. All notices were mailed to the property owner of record as determined by the Pinellas County property appraiser and tax collector databases. All notice of violations and notice of hearing are sent, return receipt requested, as well as first class mail. And please accept all these exhibits into the record as evidence.
Bobby, will you do so, please?
And Madam Chair, we do have a raised hand at this point.
Thank you. Will you bring them in and we can swear them in?
Unmute. There you go. Go ahead.
My name is Mary Nexi. My little company is the Nexi Group LLC. What else am I supposed to say?
Ms. Nexi, what is your address, please?
I physically live at 110 North Spring Boulevard, Tarpon Springs, but this is a rental property at 466 East Orange Street, where we had a problem with the virus.
Okay. Ms. Nexi, we'll get through all that. If I can have you raise your right hand so I can swear you in.
Yes.
Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Can someone speak on your behalf?
I'm going to have my tenant here speak on my behalf, if that's all right.
Okay, I will have to. What is this?
At this point, that's not the correct. That's not the correct order. Let's have this. The city's evidence has been brought forth. Do you have any legal objection why the evidence should not be received into evidence?
What do you mean, legal evidence?
The officer will be showing some pictures and showing the notices and the photos, and we need to accept those into the file. You were given the same evidence.
Well, we've got it all cleaned up. The man.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. We'd have to go through a procedural thing first.
Okay.
Okay.
Before we can move further, I need to ask if you have any legal objection as to why the city's evidence should not be received into evidence.
Do I have objection?
No.
No.
Correct. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Chair Wade, if I can interrupt you 1 second. According to Mrs. Nexi, her tenant will be testifying on her behalf, and I will need to swear him in.
All righty, let's do that as well.
Okay. Can I have your name and address for the record, please?
My name is Anthony Andrews. I live at 466 East Orange Ave, Tarpon Springs, Florida. Street, I apologize.
Mr. Andrews, if I can have you raise your right hand so I can swear you in. Are you ready? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Wade, it's back to you.
Ms. Nexi?
Yes.
First thing is the officer is going to present his case, then we'll get a chance to ask questions of him, and then after that, you can present your case. Go ahead, Officer Gaston.
Thank you. Moving on, we have had contact with the owner via phone call. On May 18th of this year, I conducted the initial inspection, received an email from the Major of Operations at the police department regarding possible criminal activity at the address. When I arrived there, I noticed the west side of the fence was open. There was trash and debris clearly visible inside the rear yard. There were some trash cans still out on the curb. Based on the fact that we'd had prior violations for the same codes 8-40 and 8-52, it was determined that she was a repeat violator. And on May 19th of 2020, a notice of violation and a repeat violator notice of hearing was mailed. None of the green cars were returned to our office. On May 21st of 2020, the repeat violator notice of hearing for the virtual hearing information was mailed to the property owner, and that green card was returned signed by Mary and Nexi. On May 27th, I conducted a reinspection, and the property was in compliance. The trash had been removed from the rear yard. On May 29th of this year, the property was posted and an affidavit of posting was signed. The property was in violation from the date of the initial inspection on May 18th until it was complied on May 21st, and I'll share the pictures with you now. So this is the street view that I was presented with, the trash and debris in particular, you can see right here stacked up. And this is basically what it was stacked up in the backyard through the fence on the 18th. And that's the nexus of the violation of 8-40 and 8-52. As I stated, they're in compliance currently. They were out of compliance for 3 days. And that's all the city has at this point.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for Officer Gasson?
Okay, they're in compliance.
We had a hard time.
Ms. Nexi, do you have any questions? You'll get to present your case, but this is just if you have a question for the officer.
Well, I got.
I'm sorry, I didn't see Miss Archer.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello? The minute I got it from my PO box, the violation, I got finally someone, because I called for 3 days and one of the guys had the flu and we couldn't get anybody to come help.
You just have to ask questions right now. Do you have any questions for Mr. Gasson? Basically, what I would bring to the table at this point is what criminal activity seemed to have been. I mean, was there a call to the police department? Was there an officer that came to the scene to investigate, or was it you yourself personally?
We got a bolo about some information regarding it, and that's all. And I happened to be in the area, and when I came by, I noticed a code violation. So I don't have any other details on that. If you want, you can come into the police department and speak to the major himself.
Okay. Now this codes violation. Did you also see that at that point in time there were workers in there cleaning the apartment out?
No, but I also wrote a parking ticket for a car parked illegally out front. So.
Okay. All right. Okay. That's I don't have any more questions.
The mattress was out because it was dirty.
No, that's somebody else's property. That's the neighbor's property. And also that
wait. This is the time for asking questions. Do you have a question for the officer?
No more.
But we had to get that out. So that we
I'm sorry, I did not see Miss Archer. Would you like to ask your question now, Mr. Archer?
I was just wondering did Officer Gasson say that they are in compliance at this time?
Yes, ma'am, they are in compliance. They were out of compliance for 3 days.
Very good, thank you. Anyone else have a question?
I can't pay
right. Now, if not, now Mrs. Nexi, you can present your case.
All right, my friend is going to tell you. He's saw everything.
At this time, I mean, all we can really state on the matter is that the property was definitely out of maintenance. It had been overrun. We're in the process of cleaning everything out. As soon as I moved in, me personally, me and my fiance, we moved everything out of the apartment. The previous tenant left bags of trash, all kinds of things that was just absolutely, it was just absolutely disgusting, you know, and compared to now, you know, we have redone the entire apartment on that side. We painted the entire house. We cut everything out of that back lot that was absolutely overgrown, like immensely. And we're continuously doing these things. Our junk removal guy, the only guy we had to that had a trailer and the ability to remove those items. His wife was in the hospital due to, again, this pandemic was just so hard on everybody. And because of the pandemic, we really couldn't have, I mean, we really didn't have anyone else to call. I mean, we made phone calls for 2 days trying to get somebody to get this stuff out of here, and we had no way to move it whatsoever. But as soon as we were able to get somebody, we overpaid on purpose just to make sure that it was done immediately. And that very same day was the day we actually got the violation.
350 and 150.
And we have check receipts and all that to prove what's been doing, you know, what's been done to the house. And again, we're consistently putting money into the house to bring it up to what Tarpon Springs expects.
Thank you. Does the board have any questions for the owner?
I can't hear.
Does the city have any questions for the owner?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a brief summary whenever you're ready.
I'm ready.
Basically, I think the tenant kind of covered my case pretty well for me, how disgusting the property is. This seems to be an ongoing theme with the Nexi group and the properties with all these repeat violators at numerous different addresses in the city. So I think based on that, moving forward, that the board should consider that thought process when they establish the fine, if they do find the case to be a repeat violator case. And that's all I have in summary.
Thank you. Does the owner wish to summarize? This
Yes,
would
I
just be a
object to
summary,
that.
no more.
I object to being charged $500 a day. When I got the man the same day I got the letter to come, we finally were able to get somebody here to remove that bed and that refrigerator because we had to sterilize the little studio apartment there.
We definitely have up to $2,200 at least in receipts of work that has been done.
$350 and $250.
That's just the removal. You know, to get this property, and now me personally, I'm fading over to other properties through the Nexi group to make sure everything else is up to code as well. We're trying to eliminate these issues.
We're
for you.
fenced in the back, and we put it out in the back, that mattress, simply because we didn't know if the man was going to come get it or not. And then he disappeared on us. And the refrigerator was disgusting. We had to hose it down and bleach it.
And this is a summary.
Yeah, this was in the back.
Yeah, no,
fenced in.
That's just all, you know. So, you know, from here, you know what I mean? You know, we're definitely moving forward to make sure the Nexi group is something Tarpon would like to, you know, to accommodate.
That would be nice. If nobody else has anything, we'll close the public portion, and I'd like to hear a motion from the board.
They charged me that today.
Officer Gasson, would you like to make a recommendation before that motion?
Basically, I think the city's position is as I stated, even by the gentleman that's now living in, how disgusting the conditions were. I think at this point, with the previous fines, it's reasonable to look at the maximum fine of $500 a day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm selling the house and
Stop,
everything
stop,
I
stop.
own in Tarpon
Stop,
Springs.
stop,
Okay, Ms. Nexi, you're out of order. Board, would you like to make a motion, please?
I don't want to deal with these assholes anymore. I'm getting
Maria.
rid of this place.
I'll make a motion, Ms. Wade. I move that based on the testimony, evidence, facts presented, and the law, that the respondent, the Nexi group, was in violation of sections 8-40 and 8-52 of the Tarpon Springs City Code from 5/18 to 5/21 until until 5/21, and a fine of $500 per day for the 3 days, or $1,500. In addition, I move that the city be awarded $1,800, 118 dash 50 cents for costs it occurred in prosecuting the case.
Thank you. Do we hear a second? Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Arson,
Yes.
Miss Chair Wade.
Yes.
Got one person on your side, all the rest of them are against me.
City, would you like to summarize?
Ma'am, the board has found you in violation of the section codes for the 3 days between 5/18 and 5/21 at $500 per day, plus the prosecution costs for a total of $1,618.50. You will be receiving an order within 10 days. And if you have any more questions, you can speak to the code enforcement after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
How much are they charging me?
No.
Screen frozen. Thank you. Next, we'll go to the affidavits of non-compliance. It's item number 7 on your list. 19-8000176, 1404 Meyer Lane, June Uloa. Is anyone here for that case?
We do have a raised hand at this time. I'll allow them in.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Brandon Pfizer. I'm attorney for Mr. Uloa.
We need to swear you in, sir. Would you do that, please?
I'm appearing as counsel. Do you still require me to be sworn in?
You're going to testify, yes?
Okay.
Can you have, can state your address for the record, please?
Yes, 4725 North Loas Avenue, Tampa, Florida, 33614.
Thank you. If you could raise your right hand. Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Is Miss Uloa there also?
No. My client's a firefighter, was unable to attend.
So you're acting in their behalf?
Yes, I'm advocating for my client.
Thank you.
I don't think we're sworn attorneys.
Do you have any legal objection as to why the city evidence should not be received into evidence?
I have not seen it, but I doubt that I do.
It's kind of a yes or a no.
Well, I can't tell I've seen it, but
the only evidence is the affidavit of affidavit of non-compliance. There's all the rest of the photographs and everything were presented in the original case. This is just an affidavit of non-compliance.
And you have apparently received that or you wouldn't be here. So we'll move on. Go ahead, Officer Gasson.
That's case 19-800000176, 1404 Meyer Lane. This was a case that the board has already heard. They established the deadline for the case to be in compliance. I have to look for the date. I believe it was March 1st of this year. And upon my inspection, the property was not in compliance. I know this property has been an issue numerous times, and I have the feeling council is going to discuss with us the legal case that's behind this. I know that previously the city was party to a lawsuit involving this property, and then the city was removed from that lawsuit. And at that point in time, city's council advised we could move forward with the code case for the dilapidated structure. And as we're going through here, I can pull up some pictures if you guys want to see what the structure looks like, albeit those are from March of 2019, but they're still fairly representative of the property, if you'd like me to do that.
I think that would be helpful if that's
Yes.
Acceptable.
All right, I'm working on that. That's not it. Only pulled one down.
Oh, that one. Okay. Now I'm
Oh,
in.
yeah.
If this just kind of refreshes everybody's memory, it takes a while to pull them down from the case, but I think this kind of generally gives you a good idea which property we're talking about.
We remember.
Okay.
I live around the corner from that.
So that's basically the sum of the case. Like I said, the city found it in non-compliance, and we're just asking for the acceptance of the affidavit of non-compliance by the board.
Very good. Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Officer Gasson? I'd like to hear a motion.
You have the attorney there.
I move
Do we need to hear from the other party first?
Okay. Or I didn't know you had a presentation. I'm sorry. Go ahead and present your case.
I'm sorry, are you speaking to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes. Is this where you'd like to ask me if I have any questions of Mr. Gasson, or is this the time where I present my case?
Go ahead. You can ask him questions if you have them, and then we'll present your case.
I don't believe I have any questions for Mr. Gasson. I've spoken with him several times regarding this issue.
I'm sure. Would you like to present your side?
Yes, thank you. So as it was laid out, yes, I'm pretty sure that the board is very familiar with this property. It's been the bane of my client's existence, my client's neighbors who are also a party to this lawsuit, the Warner's existence, and I'm sure everybody that lives around the corner as well. This property is in the midst of a litigation right now in circuit court in Pinellas County in front of the Honorable Judge Minkoff. This case was previously set for trial. However, it got kicked. We are attempting to get a new trial date, but in light of the COVID-19 situation, that is not possible right now, despite all efforts. In the interim, I am working vigorously to try and get this case resolved short of trial, which is always the goal. But basically, my clients purchased a lot and attempted to build a property. They retained a surveyor, Mr. Beach, to perform a survey as to the location that the property should be built. Upon that survey, the contractor began construction of this property. In the midst of construction, the Warners notified my clients that they had to cease and desist construction of the property as part of the property was built, part of the dwelling was built on their property. It turns out that part of the dwelling was also built on property belonging to the city of Tarpon, which is why the city of Tarpon was previously a party to this lawsuit. They wisely relinquished their claim to the alley and easement, so they are no longer involved in this. However, that is the central point of this litigation, is the location of the structure, whose responsibility it is. My surveyor, Mr. Shimp, has a report that says that this house is built at least 1.25 feet over into the Warners property. The Warners are also in agreement with Mr. Shimp's report. So of this structure, when you look at it, it is not entirely on my client's lot. At least 1.25 feet is over onto the Warners property. At this point, it is the central evidence in the case, the location of it, where it's being built, whether or not we are able to complete construction on the property as it stands, or we have to demolish the entire property, the entire building, and move it over to another location. These are all central points at the case at issue. There are many litigants, and at this point in time, I completely, we have no argument that the structure itself is not in compliance. Clearly it is. However, we ask for an extension to be able to try and resolve the underlying litigation, so that we have direction as to how we can approach this situation to remedy it. Whether or not we're able to attempt to complete construction, or it has to be torn down, and who bears those costs. And that's our position. An extension of perhaps 6 months to try and work it out, and check back in at that point in time. Because at this point in time, if I were to destroy the property, even the portion that is not on my client's lot, I would risk spoliation of evidence and all these other procedural things that could detrimentally harm my client's case.
Thank you. Questions for him? I need a little legal help, and I've already forgotten our lawyer for the day's name, but all we're trying to do is collect the costs that we've already incurred.
Correct. This is for the prosecution costs.
Yes. He's already been established, violated, all those kind of things. So all we need to do is that one section, correct?
Yes, and Officer Gaston, correct me if I'm wrong, but yes, I believe it's just, the city is just, it's for the affidavit of the prosecution costs of, it looks like $142.
Yes, but also because he missed the board order date of compliance, daily fines are also running on the property.
Ooh. Ooh.
Yes, and I'd like to point out that if there were any such things, they should have been served upon me. I have not received any of them. And, the city of Tarpon, Mr. Gasson, and everyone is well aware that my firm has been representing this client in this matter. So I respectfully have not received the affidavit. I received the notice of this virtual hearing from my client, and otherwise I would have been able to make some efforts to get Judge Minkoff involved, perhaps to get an order from the court, or whatever steps I needed to take. But it's not an easy position to be in. I get it. But my client's kind of between a rock and a hard place right now, because there's literally nothing that they can do at this point.
One thing I'd like to add, just Mr. Pfizer, your client was sent the orders and everything, and we actually have a green card signed by them. So unfortunately, it sounds like they failed to give you the paperwork. We're required by law to send it to the property owner. No disrespect to you and your position, but we have to by law send it to them. And so it appears that they may have failed to give you that board order, because it would have been sent to the same place on Trumpet Vine Loop at their address in Trinity.
I understand that, but I believe that, when you're on notice of legal representation of a client in a matter, any future subsequent filings or affidavits or evidence or notices need to be served upon the attorney of record.
That's no problem.
I understand.
When we're all done, Brandon, just call the office and we'll add you to the list, so that discussion won't be out there again.
I appreciate that, because I would have loved to avoid all of this, and kind of giving you an update about where we stand and what the situation is, because no one more than my clients would love to see their dream home being completed. They've basically been paying a mortgage on a house that they can't live in, on a property that they don't own, or at least a foot and a third of it for the past 5 years. So therein lies the situation. Even if the city wants to fine us or put something in place that requires us to take this building down, then I'm going to be forced to have to appeal it up before Judge Minkoff, and go through certain steps to ensure that we protect our interests. Because quite frankly, my client, there's a foot and a third of the building that my client doesn't even own. It's not on their property, so it's impossible for them to even tear that down.
I think all that we need to address today is this $142 deal. Is that correct?
Miss Wade, if I can just add some clarification to this. I just looked through the file. When this case was heard back in March.
Yes.
I'm sorry, August 8th, this case was heard of 2019. The law was represented by a Samuel Kusha, who was an attorney representing them at the time at this hearing. Okay, and also what you're voting on
another file, but like I said, there is no need for the prosecution of this case. we're taking steps to remedy the situation. We've worked in compliance. I've been in communication with the city of Tarpon Springs, and we're active in litigation of this. In fact, Tarpon Springs was a party to this lawsuit. So
we understand that part. Do you have any idea of a timeline on this? That's where we got into a mess from that last meeting. We gave a timeline which they thought was agreeable, and now are you asking to extend that?
Yes, I am.
And do you have a time frame in mind?
If we could get another 6-month extension, that would be very helpful. I was told by a circuit court judge, candidly, last week at a hearing, that they would not set my case for trial for 3 years. It wasn't this file, which is a little bit older, and it was already set for trial and got kicked. So I'm hopeful that Judge Minkoff will find in his good graces to find some time on the docket much sooner than that. But that being said, the court systems as a result of COVID-19 have completely ceased jury trials at this point.
Yeah.
So in the interim, I'm pushing for a different resolution in informal means. And I can tell you the things that we've done on the case today is got with the Warners, who are kind of aligned in their interests with my client in this matter, who are neighbors that own the properties in Tarpon Springs. And we're trying to get our expert surveyor together with the surveyor that performed the negligence survey to show him his faults. And he's successfully, been an expert witness in trials against this surveyor several times before. And they know each other and they have a good relationship. So in the event that we're able to do that and come to an early resolution, my hope is that we're able to get that done much sooner and not have to take this to trial, in which case 6 months would be more than sufficient. But that being said, our pleadings were just amended to include the Warners to file a cause of action against this this negligence surveyor a few months ago. So,
Madam Chair, I have just real quick. I mean, this was just an affidavit of non-compliance by this board. As the clerk stated, March 1st was their compliance date. As far as extending any dates, Mr. Perez, I think you might need to weigh in on this. There's a different process for that at this point. They've already been drawing daily fines since at least March 3rd when I signed the affidavit. And that's the only thing basically before the board at this time. As far as extensions and things, we've lost our appeal option as well, I believe. So is it just accepting the affidavit at this point?
I believe so. Like the other council spoke, and this is kind of a different situation that I'm assuming this board doesn't hear too often. So yeah, I mean, everything Officer Gaston has said is correct. That this is now the part where it is an affidavit of non-compliance and it's not the hearing anymore. So I'm really not sure if we can kick the can 6 months back.
Well,
especially.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
Well, respectfully, that was why I didn't make any. I said I couldn't make any evidentiary objections because I hadn't seen any evidence. That's why when somebody's represented by counsel, you have to propound that upon them, so that I would have been able to do that. Otherwise, I would have been on notice of this. I would have been able to make objections. But that's kind of the line, and I could have been able to do these things or filed these things ahead of time. Or like I said,
I believe the only evidence right now is the affidavit of non-compliance.
But that's our only job at this time, is to accept that.
Yes. That is what is before you right now. The affidavit of non-compliance to either accept it or not accept it.
Board. I need a motion from the board then. Anybody have a motion, please?
I move we accept the affidavit of non-compliance in case 19-800000176 and accept the affidavit of prosecution costs of $142.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Who was that, please?
Who was the second, please?
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Weeks.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade.
Yes.
Thank you.
Brandon?
Yes.
Brandon, this is it's Patrick Perez. If you have any questions about this post meeting, if you'd like to speak with either me or the city attorney, Tom Trask.
We're gonna have to talk. When are you gonna be available?
That's what I'm trying to let you know. So yeah, so he is. You should have at least my email address. So if you want to send me an email and we can set up a time to discuss.
Okay. What's your have we already communicated?
I am on the service list for the Eola Beach case. I just got the email, so you should have it. It is patrick@cityattorneys.legal.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll shoot you an email and we can circle back on this.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I think we finished it. Item number 8, 19-800000882 730 Driftwood, Kay Sutherland. Is she here?
This lady's never gonna go away.
If anyone is here for this item, if you would please raise your hand.
It's just lots.
Oh, really? Mobile homes, aren't they?
We have no raised hands at this time.
Does the city have anything they wish to bring forward?
City has nothing.
Okay, he's got nothing. Board, would you like to make a motion, please? Affidavit of non-compliance.
I move we accept the affidavit of non-compliance in case 19-800000882 and the affidavit of prosecution costs in that case for $127.50.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Bobby?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade.
Yes. It's been so long since we've done this. Now we're to affidavits of compliance. Is this where we can make the group of them together?
You may want to separate them out as some do. It looks like 15
Fines and some don't.
Correct.
At the end, there's a bunch with money. We're gonna have to do those separately.
Correct.
Chair Wade,
Yes.
if I might, agenda items 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 can be grouped.
Yep.
You so choose to do that?
That's what we would like to hear. Thank you. Compliance. And none of those are costs. I'd like to hear a motion on items number 12-2000033, 20-8000066, 18-800000730. Item number 12 is 18-800000758. Number 13, 19-800000484. And item 14, 19-800000386.
I move we accept those are 4 red affidavits of compliance.
Second.
Do I hear second?
There were 5. Mhm.
There were 6 that were read, right?
Right.
6, yes, 6 items.
Second,
Would you like to amend your motion?
second on Sunny.
Let's make sure we have the correct motion. Would you like to amend your motion to include all 6 properties?
Yeah, when I made my motion, I referred to you just reading all of those properties. So I guess they didn't hear me do that, but I'll amend the motion to include properties number 9, number 10, number 11, number 12, number 13, and number 14 on your list.
Thank you. Second, anybody?
Second.
Thank you. Bobby?
Roll call. All in favor? Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Of course.
Mr. Weeks? Mr. Weeks, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you tell I'm getting bored?
I'll try to move it along.
Let's
I'm
do something
struggling.
funny.
We're on item 15.
Item 15, I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in case number 19-800000820 and the affidavit of prosecution costs of $142.
Second.
Bobby?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes. Item number 16.
I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in case 19800000709 and the affidavit of prosecution costs in that case for $113.
Second.
Question? Call for question?
No questions.
Go ahead. Ms. Bobby?
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes. We're on 17 now, correct?
Yes. I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in case 19-800009719 and the affidavit of prosecution costs in that case for $160.50.
Second. Okay, you got it.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes. Item number 18.
I move we accept the affidavit of prosecution costs in case 19-800000720 and the affidavit of prosecution costs for that case of $142.
Second, Archer.
Roll call.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson? Mr. Robinson frozen? Mr. Robinson. Is that,
Call
Mr. Robinson, do you accept the affidavit of compliance? I mean,
Robinson?
yes. Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes. Item 19. Is there a motion on item 19?
19, I move we accept the affidavit of compliance in case 19-800000743 and the affidavit of prosecution costs in that case of $113.
Second, Archer.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson, Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks,
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade.
Yes. We have 2 more items. Can everybody hold out for 2 more items?
Yes.
We need a break.
Right.
All right. Item number 20 has been deferred, so skip to page 20 to number 21. Request for fine reduction. If you did not pull from your packet the instructions for requesting a fine reduction, I'd like the attorney to reiterate those to you, please.
I'm sorry, what would you like me to read?
The instructions for requesting a reduction of the fine board are quite critical, and I want to make sure everybody understands those again, please.
Just give me one moment, please.
That's okay. They were sent in the packet, but I want to confirm that everybody got that.
This has been great fun. Let's do it again.
Thanks a lot. And thank you for helping me through all this, because technology is not my best thing.
Me neither.
Reduction fine. You have those handy?
Karen, I'm sorry, just give me one moment. I can't find it in my packet, so I'm just trying to make sure
I do
read it
have it.
correctly.
I can read it. But
If you don't mind, that might just be easier. It just save me the time from trying to find it.
There were a couple of rules in here that I did not feel like these properties adhered to, so I wanted to make sure that was taken into consideration.
Absolutely.
Rule 5, Section 4 of the Code Enforcement Board Rules of Procedure states, within 60 working days after the affidavit of compliance is accepted by the CEB, you may submit a written request to the CEB for reconsideration of a fine. Address the letter to the CEB and sign it. Include a copy of the affidavit of compliance executed by the code inspector. The letter must include conclusive evidence showing extreme or undue hardship in the payment of the fine or a situation which prevented you from bringing the property into compliance within the time period established by the board's order. To prove hardship, it is recommended that you include the last 2 years' tax returns and a personal financial statement, including assets and liabilities. The code enforcement clerk will add your request to the agenda. The board shall make its determination based solely upon your letter. You may appear at the meeting or at the hearing as the code board members have additional questions for you, but you will not be able to make a statement in your defense. The code enforcement inspector may submit in writing information regarding the case that he or she feels is important in order for the board to make decisions, including but not limited to the costs incurred by the city. The secretary will notify the violator by mail. The board will not consider a request for a reduction of fines until the affidavit of compliance is accepted. And then this one is, the last 2 are important. Under no circumstance may the amount of the fine be reduced below the city's cost of the action, and under no circumstances may the amount of the fine for a repeat violation be reduced. Thank you. Is there anyone here for those cases? Are there any hands raised? Mark?
We do have one hand raised at this time.
Bring them in, please.
Hi, Tim Shea representing 1415 Oleander Drive.
And what's your name, please?
Tim Shea.
M. Shea. And your relationship to this property?
I'm the real estate agent that has the property listed and under contract for sale for the bank. It's an REO property backed by HUD.
Yes. Thank you. Officer Gasson?
Yes, ma'am.
Officer Gasson, do you have a presentation to make other than what was attached to the packet?
Nope, just what's included in the packet for the rules.
Okay. Board have questions for the officer?
No, I would like to go along with the city's recommendation to reduce the fine as it states. If you need me to state it, I will.
The city did not recommend a reduction. I had a question for Officer Gadsden.
What is
This
it?
is a repeat violator.
Chair Wade, what item are you on? Are we on 21?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Attorney Shade, you are representing Plaza Home Mortgage?
I'm not an attorney. I'm a real estate agent.
Oh, real estate, sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah, it should be the case as the clerk is
I got
pointing
it.
out,
I got it.
1415
I was
Oleander.
on the wrong page. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the correction.
Mr. Shea, can I get you to raise your right hand if you'll be testifying this afternoon?
Yes.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I'm not clear on to whom I should address this. Does the HUD delay constitute a hardship, Officer Gasson?
They basically had more or less a change of ownership. That's why the city's recommendation was from the time they took over the property, the 84 days, and make them responsible for those costs because they couldn't control what was out of their hands prior to that.
Okay. And I don't see a notarized statement for Tim Shea to testify. Is that still required?
Only if we have questions for him.
Okay. Board, anyone else on the board have a question or would like to make a motion?
I'm confused as to what the fine was like up to $45,900.
The city has a recommendation published to reduce that fine because the city took the property over. If you look at the packet, the last page of the packet shows the city's recommendation.
But it wasn't reduced. They didn't recommend to reduce it, but you did, right?
I think you did the same thing I did. We turned to the wrong stapled set of documents. The two got hung up together. This should be the one for Oleander Drive.
That's what I'm reading.
According to the Oleander Drive packet, which was provided by the city, they're changing the date of the fine from 12/18/19 to 3/12/20, 84 days at $100 a day, reducing the fine down to $8,552.
Correct.
The additional prosecution costs. So they are making a reduction.
Yep.
Only because of the date of taking over this and working on it.
Thank you for clarifying that. Would you like to make a motion?
I'd make a motion to accept the city's recommendation to reduce the fine as listed here and making the dates from 12/19/19 to 3/12/20 at $84 for 84 days at $100 a day for $8,400 at prosecution costs of $152 for a total of $8,552.
I'll second that.
Bobby, roll call, please. Oh, is there any other discussion? I'm sorry. If there's no further discussion, Bobby, would you like to take a vote, please.
Ms. Tellier,
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet,
Yes.
Mr. Robinson,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Weeks.
No,
Is that a no? I'm sorry.
that's a no.
Thank you. Vice Chair Archer,
Yes.
Chair Wade,
Yes.
motion carried 6-1.
Final item on the agenda, other than the approval of minutes, is item number 22 for 19-8000386, 1422 Gulf Road, Nicholas Harras. Is anyone here for that property, Mark? Their hand raised?
At this time, we still only have Tim Shea as hand raised.
Okay. Do we need to summarize?
I'm sorry,
for
we
him?
did just have someone else bring up their hand. I'll let them in.
I'm ready.
Mark, I believe Mr. Shea's item is done and has been voted on.
Thank you.
Someone gonna swear?
We have someone who is called Linda. If you would unmute yourself.
Hi, yes, it's Linda Carpathios with Coldwell Banker. I'm also a real estate agent.
Would you spell your last name, please?
Yes, Karpathios.
Thank you. Are you expecting to testify at this meeting?
I also, Elena is the sellers or the seller. She's also out there. I don't know if she's not able to raise her hand. But yes, I was going to testify on.
All right, then we'll need to swear you in.
Okay.
Ms. Carpathios, can you raise your right hand? Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. I believe Miss, is it Elena Harris?
Yes.
Okay. She was here earlier, but I don't know if she was still on the line. So she was here at the beginning of the meeting. So I don't know if she's still on the line.
She's out there somewhere. I'm not sure why she's not answering.
Okay.
If we have questions.
Officer Gasson, other than the packet you've provided us, do you have anything else you'd like to bring forward?
Madam Chair, no, I'm under the impression, according to our rules, that there's no testimony taken in this. It's just what's written.
Okay.
And so I have nothing.
Correct.
Could I confirm with the attorney?
Yes, that is correct. This is supposed to be made based only on the written submission. You are able to ask the property owner or the representative particular questions, but it is not a testimony like the other parts of today's hearing.
Okay, to comply with rules for a fine reduction, it says that a property cannot be a repeat violator. And the packet indicates that this property is. But that's why I got a little confused.
Madam Chairman, just to clarify, some of the violations were repeat violations and some were new. So it is in effect a repeat violator case.
Say that again.
Some of the violations under this case number were repeat violations and some were new. So in effect, it's kind of a combination, but it is a repeat violator case.
Are you asking me? I'm sorry. She's calling me. The seller is calling me right now.
All right.
I don't know if you are asking me.
No, I was checking with the legality of requesting a fine reduction on a case that is a repeat violator.
Hello. There's the seller right there.
Hi, something went wrong. I'm sorry.
My name's Elena Harris.
Do we need to have her sworn in? I'm not sure that there's any testimony.
If you're going to ask her any questions, yes.
Ms. Harris, if I can have you raise your right hand.
Yes.
Do you swear affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
You have some. No. Maybe they'll leave a message.
Does the board have any questions regarding the packet of this request for fine reduction?
I just have a question, Ms. Wade, and that is, according to the information we were provided about what would constitute fine reduction, there are very specific things that should have been provided in order for us to even consider this. For example, tax returns were one of the items listed. Can we take it up even if those items are not listed?
I think you can base your answer on them being missing.
Chair, if I may, the board shall make a determination based solely on the letter. According to the text terms, it's a way to prove hardship, and it's recommended, but is not necessarily required.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Do we even have a letter?
Yes, it starts with hello, Beth.
Yes, the first document in the packet is the letter.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Could I ask the respondent why they waited from August until May to respond? I know she said she had an accident, but that wasn't until March.
Hello?
In your backup materials that we've received, you indicated that we wondered why you didn't contact us between August and May. I understand you had an accident, but that wasn't until March.
Are you talking to me, Elena?
Yeah.
All right. Well, my father passed away July 1st. I was there during the hospital stays and during his death, and I did attend one meeting. And when I attended a meeting, there was Beth and another woman that had given me what the rundown was. I personally don't live in Tarpon Springs. I live in Boston, Framingham, Massachusetts, and I have no idea about house or whatever. And then she wrote down this amount, $200 something. Right away, literally the next night or within that time, I had someone come to cut the grass. It was just me, but I had somebody else cut the grass. The truck had a flat tire overnight. It was registered in
Madam Chair, I would object. This is testimony.
This is not the answer to the question. I remember when you came before us before, and that was in August.
No, that was July, I think.
Even July, and then we didn't hear from you again until May.
Well, I called right after that. July, he passed away. I was there in July, and I spoke to Beth and another woman that was there. And she even circled the amount of money that was the fine, $200 something. What I'm trying to tell you is I'm not a resident of Tarpon Springs, but I did call, and Beth took that phone call and said, yes, we'll have Mr. Steve Gasson go out there and look at the property because the grass was cut.
Again, this is testimony.
I'm afraid this isn't relative to what we're talking about right now. I'm have to cut you off a little bit. Does the board have any other questions?
Yeah, I do. Can I ask a question? I'm a bit confused. You read a rule, Julie, that said under no circumstances may the amount of the fine for a repeat violation be reduced.
Mm-hmm.
There are 3 of the 5 in this request are repeat violations, yet the fine is not broken out.
What is repeat violations?
This is to Chairman Wade.
I agree with you. Would you like to make a motion?
Me?
No, the board.
I'm finished with my, do we not
go ahead.
Fines between what is repeat and what is new to make the decision?
I don't think so.
you follow
I'm
what?
not sure that that matters, because once they're in the repeat violator category, I think you answered your own question going back to the rules.
It's a moot point.
Thank you. Would you like to make a motion?
Yeah, I move that the fine, I'm showing the fine is $16,109 total. If that's correct, my motion is to not grant the fine reduction request.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Okay, can I just clarify something for the record?
Yes.
So my total amount for the fine is $16,099.
I was never told that.
Okay, maybe I can clarify this for you. The repeat violation fine amount is $8,625. The new violation fine amount is $7,075. Okay, I think that's what Mr. Robinson was asking. Plus the prosecution cost of $99. The total for all that is $16,099.
Do you understand that I have no idea what these fines are for?
Ms. Harris, I'm not addressing that to you. I'm addressing that to the board.
Oh.
That is the information that I have. And
Okay,
that's
I
the
just want to
motion
make
that
sure
has.
we're clear, because I didn't catch the amount if you are granting or denying the request.
Denying the request.
Denied. Thank you, Mr. Robinson.
And did I hear a second?
Yes, second.
Thank you. Call for vote, please.
I need to ask what we're voting on. I'm confused.
The motion is that the request for fine reduction be denied.
Oh, all right.
So the motion on the floor is to deny the motion for requested reduction of fine. Ms.
Correct.
Tellier?
Yes.
Ms. Norfleet?
Yes.
Mr. Robinson?
Yes.
Mr. Kramer?
Yes.
Mr. Weeks?
Yes.
Vice Chair Archer?
Yes.
Chair Wade?
Yes.
Thank you.
Attorney, since they're on the phone, would you like to summarize, please?
Ma'am, your request for fine reduction has been denied. I'm not sure if the board will send out an order for this, but if you have any further questions, you can contact the code enforcement department after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unbelievable.
Looks to me like we're getting toward, we have 2 sets of minutes to approve. Do those need to be done separately?
No,
We can be lumped them together.
Yes.
Does anybody have any alterations or additions to the minutes for February or March? Hearing no changes, would someone like to make a motion to approve the minutes?
I so move. This is Sunny.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
For a second?
Second.
Can we do this by voice vote?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. Does the board have any other business that they wish to bring forward? Seeing that there's no other business on the agenda, I get to wrap my knuckles on the table and adjourn the meeting. Thank you all very much.
Next. Comment?
Thank you.
Thank
This has been real and this has been fun, but I'm not sure it's been real fun.
Till next time.
Do you think we'll continue to meet like this
I hope not much longer.
Yeah, no, this
for the
is
foreseeable future?
tough.
I can speak to that.
There's been talk that we're supposed to start going to more or less regular-ish, I believe in July.
I think the BOC is meeting in 2 weeks and it's limited audience, but Michelle could probably add to that.
Yeah.
The Board of Commissioners will be meeting for this first time June 23rd at their next meeting. It will be a hybrid. It will be both virtual and the commission will be seated at the dais. But there is limited access because they only have up to 50 people in the room. So they would have to be, 6 feet apart and all that. So we're going to try a hybrid, both virtual and, sitting real time.
Would you have then the population, the people who want to come into the meeting be virtually, and then the regular people?
Well, they're going to try. They haven't really. There's going to be a dry run, so to speak, sometime the beginning of the week to see how we work that out. So.
And I'd like to compliment the tech staff there. Mark and his people have just done.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much. Yes.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you,
We'll
Mark.
pass that along to him.
Yeah.
Good job, Julie.
So, and Bobby is here. Say hi, Bobby.
Yeah, good job.
Bobby.
Patrick, thank you. You were great today.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate your filling in for us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And I could just quickly add the governor or the order that allows us to do the Zoom meetings.
Yes.
It expires on June 29th. So unless the governor extends it, basically everybody's going to be going back to in-person meetings starting July 1. So like they said, the governor could extend it, but basically we're only operating under this order because otherwise you're not allowed. So
I see. Yeah.
But absolutely. And thank you all for having me today.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for helping. We appreciate it.
Good job.
I think we're done.